Hello, this is Dan Sanford from the Academic Resource Commons. In this video, we're talking about how to take notes, how to read, and how to study. Skills that, if you can get them down, will make you more effective in every single one of your courses. Out of class. The next thing for you to consider is how you spend your time outside of class. Remember, in college courses, the expectation is that for every hour you're spending in class, you're spending another 2 to 3 hours outside of class engaged with that course. This is your time to study, read, do homework, write papers, meet in study groups, and access academic support like ARC or the Math Stats Workshop, or go to office hours. It's important for you to dedicate time in your schedule for each class. As a student, you have a lot to do. All these obligations create stress, and stress makes it highly difficult to learn effectively. Creating blocks of time devoted to a single purpose, for example, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I'm working on Biology 382, gives you time to attend to everything that you need to do for that course, meeting upcoming deadlines, daily reading, homework, and all other responsibilities. At the end of that dedicated time, you should put the course away and move on to other topics which are equally deserving of your dedicated attention, making sure that each course gets its full allotment of time. Critically, during the time allotted for a course, try not to worry about anything else other than that course. Focusing on one course and/or assignment at a time is a critical way of reducing stress and focusing your cognitive resources. Bringing attention and mindfulness to one thing at a time, applying one's full capabilities to that task, is the way to do one's best work and to learn effectively. Good studying begins with what you do in class. We talked about note-taking a bit in the time management video, and how important note-taking is as a strategy for being an active learner in class, so that you're using your time in class more effectively and can therefore spend less time studying outside of class. I hope you've had the chance to practice taking good notes. We're going to dive a bit deeper into note-taking strategies. Remember, note-taking has two functions. The first is to create a record of the information covered in lecture in order to facilitate later studying. That's important, but the more important goal is the second one. Note-taking prompts you to mentally organize the material you're getting in class, grouping similar concepts together, placing related concepts under headings, noting connections between old and new information, identifying points of uncertainty, helping you to far more effectively learn concepts and retain information. Your goal is to take notes in a way that facilitates that. Remember, it's much more important to use notes as a tool for learning by synthesizing ideas and imposing a meaningful organization on them than it is to create a full and accurate record of everything that happened in class. Less is more, and the goal is to process information rather than to transcribe the instructor. Note-taking is highly personal and idiosyncratic. There are as many successful note-taking systems as there are successful students, each one reflecting the particular needs and habits of mind of its creator. You'll come to your own system over time. Here are a few basic principles to get you started. First, before class, identify your questions and goals for the day. In order to approach your course as an active learner, you should enter every class with a clear sense of your own agency in the process of learning. One important way to accomplish this is to step into every class session with a clearly articulated set of goals. Based on the reading, on previous lectures, and on your own curiosity, what are the questions that I'm hoping to get answered in class? Based on your understanding of the topics that will be covered that day, what are your goals for the class? What outcomes do you hope to achieve in advancing your understanding of these topics? Write these at the top of the page or document that you'll be taking notes on. These questions will guide the choices that you make in class that day, how you organize your notes, what questions you ask, and other ways you approach your role as a learner. Second, use topics and key terms as headings to organize information. Create headings for important concepts and leave lots of room under or next to each heading to fill in notes. Listen and watch for cues from the instructor that call attention to key concepts, writing words on the board, emphasizing them in speech, using them as headings in visual presentations. Keep an eye out for terms that were identified as important topics in readings. As you take notes, place information and ideas relating to these concepts under your headings. Identify information, facts, occurrences, entailments, quotes, elaborations that will add to or support your understanding of the concepts you used as headings. Third, as you take notes, annotate them according to how they relate to your questions and goals. Using a system that's intuitive for you, identify information that addresses your questions, for example, by underlining it. Changes your understanding of a topic, for example, with an exclamation mark in the margin, and/or raises new questions, for example, with a question mark in the margin. Finally, after class, look back over your notes and review your original questions and goals. What concepts do you want to review or seek clarification on? Will it be most helpful to do this individually, with others in the class, at ARC, or at the instructor's office hours? So, what do you do with that time? You're going to want to have a plan for each course. This should happen at the very beginning of each term. In your very first allotted study session of the term for each of your courses, use your time to transfer all obligations for that course from the course syllabus to a new document. Accomplishing this task will help you to think through your approach for the course and facilitate all future study sessions by keeping all commitments for the course in a single document organized in a way that's intuitive to you. Note-taking provides a structure for your time in class, ensuring that you get the most out of it. Note-taking can do the same for your reading. College students do a lot of reading for class. Note-taking is the way to ensure that you're using the time that you spend reading productively, retaining information and developing a deeper understanding of course concepts. And just like with taking notes for class, the key is to be strategic, not trying to take notes on everything, but focusing on your goals as a learner. In taking notes from readings, you engage in the active learning task of summarizing and synthesizing information. At the same time, you create a resource that you'll be able to return to later. Your notes should present concepts in a consolidated, organized way that aligns with how you approach the material. Later, when you're studying for exams and quizzes, you can study from your notes from your readings rather than from the readings themselves. When you take notes from readings, your goal is to articulate questions for yourself and then seek to answer those questions as thoroughly as possible. This is called elaborative interrogation, and it's a proven method for developing a deeper understanding of ideas and store information in long-term memory. First, identify the questions that will drive your reading. Look ahead through the reading, focusing on section headings. Convert each topic, generally corresponding to a section heading, to a why or how question. For example, the economic causes of the Civil War could be rephrased as, how did the economic factors contribute to causing the Civil War occur? Cell division might become, how and why do cells divide? Write these questions at the top of the page or document that you'll be taking notes on. These questions will guide your reading and note-taking, determining where you spend time and what you write. As you read, consider how new ideas apply to the questions that are driving your reading of the text. Look for information that bears on the questions you articulated. As you read, scan for information that helps you to answer the questions that you posed. Focus on information that changes or enriches what you knew coming into the reading. Use your questions to focus your attention. Wherever information isn't relevant to your questions, move past it quickly. Record information and ideas that are meaningful to your question, using your questions to organize information. As you take notes, condense the author's language and rephrase concepts in a way that makes sense to you. Wherever the author's supporting arguments and facts lead to more questions, rephrase them as questions and record them in your notes. Take notes where your questions were not answered to your satisfaction or where the author's language was unclear to you. What further clarification would be helpful to you? What ideas do you question? What arguments did you not find persuasive? Record this in your notes. If a passage isn't clear to you, note your questions and move on. You can return to them later in class, study groups, with a tutor, or in later independent study. After reading, document how the reading changed your understanding of the concepts it covered. What are the major takeaways from the reading? How was your understanding of the concepts covered by the reading changed? What did you find most important or memorable? What clarifying questions do you have from the reading? How does the reading inform your goals for the next class? What questions are you still seeking answers to, and how will you seek them? And based on the reading, what are you interested in learning more about? What areas of intellectual curiosity did the reading raise for you? What do you hope to learn more about in subsequent readings or class meetings? What might you be interested in exploring in papers or projects? Another way you can actively engage with the material of your courses is by taking notes. Taking notes fulfills two important functions. The first is to create a record of the information covered in lecture in order to facilitate later studying. This goal is certainly an important one, as missing information reduces the utility of your notes as a tool for review after class and in preparation for quizzes and exams. The second, more valuable goal for note-taking is as a tool for learning in itself. Note-taking prompts you to mentally organize the material, grouping similar concepts together, placing related concepts under headings, noting connections between old and new information, identifying points of uncertainty, helping you to far more effectively learn concepts and retain information. Notably, the second goal also serves the first. It's nearly impossible, without writing down every single word, to create a full record of a lecture. Organization is what makes it possible for note takers to create useful documents for later studying. Make a regular daily practice of taking notes in class. In your note taking, don't worry about trying to copy down every word. It's much more important to use notes as a tool for learning by synthesizing ideas and imposing a meaningful organization on them than it is to create a full and accurate record of everything that happened in class. Less is more, and the goal is to process information rather than to transcribe the instructor. So, you've gone to class, you've done the readings. Studying is the next piece. In the time management video, we talked about creating dedicated study sessions for each of your courses in your weekly calendar. When you're in that time and you're actually sitting down to study for a course, what do? How do you study effectively? The trick to effective studying is metacognition, being aware of how brains work and using that knowledge to hack your studying so that you can retain the skills and knowledge that you need to retain with a minimum of time and effort. The lore of college is that long all-night study sessions are the way to get ready for exams. Research on the brain, however, in addition to telling us that brains need sleep in order to retain information, gives us a few key strategies that you can apply in your studying to help you learn as efficiently as possible. First, space out your study sessions. The clear finding from a large body of research on what's known as distributed practice is that it's both more effective and a better use of time to study a topic in small pieces of time distributed over a span of days than to devote the same amount of time in a single session. So let's say you have an exam in chemistry coming up on atomic structure. Rather than devoting one full study session to atomic structure right before the exam, you'd be better off to devote a portion of multiple study sessions for the entire week or two before the exam. The same amount of study time is much more effective if it's spaced out than if it's all in one chunk. So you would review your materials on atomic structure and practice the kind of problems you'll have to do on atomic structure repeatedly over a span of time. Another reason this works is as a way to retain information and skills. It works very well to practice recalling it, leaving your brain time to forget it before recalling it again. Every time you do this, you streamline a cognitive pathway, making it faster and easier to recall this information or practice this skill next time. Repeated recall is the related practice of continually bringing a concept or piece of information to one's conscious awareness, as happens in common study strategies such as flashcards and practice quizzes. Repeated recall is a highly efficient means of storing information in long-term memory and is one reason why distributed practice is so effective. Across multiple study sessions and within a single study session, allow time for a piece of information to pass from your conscious attention before again recalling it. The more times you do this, the better you'll remember it. Finally, switch topics and study methods frequently. Within a study session, switch often between different kinds of related problems and information. Move between multiple topics and problem types rather than devoting large blocks of time to a single concept. This is known as interleaving, and it's another highly effective way to trick your brain into retaining information. For example, If you have 3 topics you need to study for an upcoming exam, instead of devoting different blocks of time to each topic, mix things up. You could do this by spending a few moments on each topic, or by mixing the order of practice problems so that you're moving back and forth between multiple problem-solving strategies. Interleaving facilitates deep learning, helping you to see connections among related concepts. This also takes advantage of repeated recall, encouraging you to practice recalling important ideas. All of this helps you to learn more, learn faster, and learn better. A question to consider as you think about how these ideas apply in your classes. Think back to your most recent large exam or quiz. If you were to take it again, how would you prepare differently? Consider how you took notes in class, how you read, and how you studied. And an activity to put all this in action. Create a plan for how you will take notes, study, and read in the upcoming term. As always, you're not alone. ARC is a great place to study around others from your class, and the learning strategies tutors at ARC are always available to consult on any of the strategies covered in this video.